Election security deposit. Disclaimer: this training material is for use in training of election officials. It should not be referred as guideline of ECI. In case of any variance in this training material, the Commission guidelines, rules, laws shall prevail. In this video, we will learn about the security deposit to be deposited by any person if he or she wants to contest an election. A security deposit is the sum of money that a candidate who wants to contest an election is required to pay to an electoral authority before they are permitted to stand for election. The purpose of the deposit is to reduce the prevalence of fringe candidates or parties with no realistic chance of winning a seat. The deposit collected is repaid to the candidate after the poll if the candidate obtains a specified proportion of the votes cast. If the candidate does not achieve the refund threshold, the deposit is forfeited. Security deposit should be made either before filing of nomination paper or at the time of filing of nomination paper. Section 34 of the Representation of People Act 1951 says, every candidate at an election to Lok Sabha must make a security deposit of Rs 25,000. For an election to Vidhan Sabha, the amount of security deposit is Rs 10,000. A candidate belonging to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe is required to make a security deposit of only half of the amount mentioned above, even in a general constituency. Every candidate presenting a nomination paper has an option to make the security deposit either in cash with you, that is with returning officer, or by depositing in the Reserve Bank of India or a government treasury through challans. Unless the sum is deposited in cash with RO, a receipt, that is the challan in proof of the deposit, must be enclosed with the first nomination paper presented on behalf of the candidate. The head of the account in which security deposit is made is shown on the screen. It is for election to Parliament and election to state or union territory legislatures. One deposit is required from each candidate in respect of his candidature in a constituency, and once such a deposit has been paid other than deposit made before the RO and the receipt enclosed with his first nomination paper, the candidate is not required to make any other deposit in respect of subsequent nomination papers which may be presented on his behalf in that constituency. A candidate must, however, make a separate deposit in respect of each different constituency in which he or she files nomination papers. It is already clarified that no candidate can be nominated from more than 2 parliamentary or assembly constituencies. Security deposit cannot be made by a check. A candidate who is a member of a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe is therefore entitled to make the concessional amount of deposit irrespective of whether the constituency is a reserved constituency or not. It is not obligatory for such a candidate contesting an election from a general constituency to fill up the declaration in the nomination paper that he is a member of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. But the candidate to be eligible to deposit the concessional amount must satisfy RO that he is a member of a SC or ST through a certificate issued by an authority duly authorized by the state government for that purpose. In case of death of the candidate set up by a recognized political party, the Election Commission will call upon the concerned political party to nominate another candidate for the said election in place of the deceased candidate. The new candidate has to make fresh security deposit along with fresh nomination papers and Form A and Form B. If the candidate is not shown in the list of contesting candidates, or if he dies before the commencement of the poll, the deposit should be returned as soon as practicable from the publication of the list or after his death, as the case may be. Some candidates may have made, along with their second and subsequent nominations, further security deposit. The second and subsequent deposit should be returned as far as practicable after the publication of the list of contestant candidates. In other cases, the deposit should be returned as soon as practicable after the result of election is declared. The deposit shall be written subject to the following conditions. The candidate is not shown in the list of contesting candidates, that is, to say either his nomination was rejected or after his nomination was accepted, he withdraws his candidature, or if he dies before the commencement of the poll, or he is elected, or he is not elected but gets more than 1/6 of the total number of valid votes polled by all the candidates at the election. If the candidate has polled exactly 1/6 of the total number of valid votes polled by all the candidates, the deposit will not be refunded. If the candidate was elected, the deposit will be refunded even if he did not poll more than 1/6 of the total valid votes polled by all the candidates. The votes polled against the nota option is not to be taken into account for calculating the total valid votes polled by the contesting candidates for the purpose of return of security deposit. If a candidate was a contesting candidate at a general election to the House of People or State Legislative Assembly in more than one parliamentary or assembly constituency, he cannot get a return of more than one deposit made by him or on his behalf. Other deposit made by him on his behalf will be forfeited to the government. A contesting candidate at an election to the House of People and also at an election to State Legislative Assembly, when simultaneously held, is entitled to the return of deposit made in both the elections if he is otherwise entitled to such return, as the two elections are different. Format of the application for the return of security deposit, if made by the candidate himself or herself, is shown on the screen. Format of the application of the return of the security deposit, if made by someone else on behalf of the candidate, is shown on the screen. Format of the application of the return of the security deposit in case of death of the candidate by the legal representative is shown on the screen. In this video, we have learned about security deposit. If you have any doubt or want any clarification, then you can contact to the mail as shown on the screen. For other videos on rules and regulations, you can visit the web address as shown. Thank you.